Hey, what's going on, everyone? Let me make sure all systems are operational. I did change the times around for this. I was doing as I'll explain shortly, I had a DIY project this morning, which I started, and then I realized that I did not have the right part. So I put the stream back just a little bit to allow time for me to work on that project. But if you don't have the right part, you can't complete the project. So I had to terminate that early. All right, let's see. A couple housekeeping things here. Let me make sure my ticker. I have to activate my ticker. There it is. Okay, the ticker is online. All right. Let me see. Let's close that. Let's go there. All right, there's my live symbol. Whoever is here, please let me know who is here. Okay. These are always more fun when they're interactive. And also thank you to whoever left that like before I started the stream. All right. And it looks like I have another like coming in somewhere. Oh, Michael, good morning. Thank you for being here, Michael. Always much appreciated. Let me make an announcement over on my main antenna. And we'll get this party started. AB Media, the political pundit of the Black Manosphere is here. Salute to you. AB Media loves those politics, man. I tell you, politics is a dangerous game. All right, let's see. A very dangerous game. Okay, I am. Some Black history. And science. Yeah, AB, I saw that we're Facebook compadres. I saw that last thing you posted. I put a laughing emoji under it because I knew, man, I'm very, very careful. The Facebookers, man, that's a sensitive audience. So I'm very, very careful about what I post over there because now I kind of have to think to myself, okay, if I post this, what's the utility in people knowing this? And is this going to trigger people? Okay. For those of you who don't know, I'm a writer and a blogger, and I've been updating my Black history content, and I share it over there. But I think there are topics that people need to think about, and I think when people see some of those topics and some of my angles, they don't know what to make of it. But in general, I'm careful about sharing stuff in the Facebook pond because people over there, they crash out. They're very sensitive, and some things they just can't handle. And I'm trying to sell books too. So I think if I recall correctly, I remember one woman who went to my HBCU, and back in 2016, 2017, I was posting some speculative things about the Obamas, and people came for me, and she unfriended me. I remember that. I remember that I was seeing her stuff, and then all of a sudden I was gone. So those were some of my first lessons in being unfriended. And I said, you know, man, do people need to know this? Are they okay in their little bubble? But don't let my standard operating procedures and policies impact what you do. If you want to share it on Facebook and you feel like the people need to know, even though it might make them crash out, then have at it. All right. Today, let's see if I can go for about an hour. In the words of my father, my plan, my intention, my plan is to do some running around after this. So let's see if I can keep it at about an hour. So we're going to do a little bit of Black history. I want to Mr. Musk and President Trump's discussion on Sean Hannity. That, of course, when you talk about Elon, well, now a lot of things are associated with Elon today, but he's most known for PayPal and his aerospace projects. So, and those were alluded to in the Sean Hannity discussion, but this also gives me an excuse to, since it is still Black History Month, to talk about and remind everybody about the Black astronauts. So I'm going to talk about the Black astronauts first, and then we're going to see what how our current president and Mr. Musk were chatting it up with Sean Hannity, and then we're going to look at Starlink, and we're going to watch a rocket get grabbed upon landing, which apparently no one else knows how to do besides Elon. All right, so I will see you all on the other side of the intro, which I need to update.
So Anwar, I see you have the periodic tables on your chest.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that all about? Why are you walking around with a chemistry chart on your chest?
Well, Cheryl, so this channel is a STEM channel. So when I was conceiving of it and figuring out how to grow it, I figured I should have some T-shirts to go with it. So the periodic table is critical to most of the scientific fields.
Welcome to Big Discussions 76, Science and Technology. Science and technology are all around us all of the time, and there are always science and technology stories to tell. There are always science and technology stories to tell. Okay, so a couple of things. Let's see. So for those of you who follow me on my main channel now, I like to do interviews. If I could do interviews with SMEs and notable people 100% of the time, I would do that. I think that's one of my strengths, asking questions, having conversations, and enlightening the general public. And tomorrow, we were supposed to do it last night, but I'm interviewing a gentleman named Curtis Schoon, who is he wears several hats, but we're doing that at 2 p.m. So if you're not doing anything, please join me on my original channel. I think that's going to be a fun discussion. He's not from a particular sector. He actually has his own publication and his own brand. It's called Schoon TV. Okay, so that's that. Brief advertisement about my book. Some of you might get tired of seeing this, but hey, I'm an author now, and I have to market, and this is part of how you do it. YouTube. All right, so this is my book. It looks like a basketball story. What's called The Engineers of Western New York Basketball Story. It looks like it might be just about basketball, but it's about it's a bit of a manhood journey. It's about finding your way in the world. It's about changing environments. Many of the same things we talk about here in the YouTube streets. So it's a life journey and it's a life story. Particularly, I mean, a lot of people can glean things from this, but I think particularly for young men. And I think one of my main messages in this book is that if you don't teach it as a young man, if you don't have role models, if you don't have other men to model as a youngster, then you're going to have to figure out how to do everything by yourself. And a lot of, especially especially young Black men, have had to figure out how to do things by themselves. Okay, and the world, the community still expects you to know things and be proficient at things and do things. So it's much deeper than the great game of basketball. So if anyone wants a copy, the hardcover is going for $35 on Amazon. The paperback's going for $27 on Amazon on the marketplace, and there's the ebook as well. But I'm selling copies at a discount, signed copies. If you purchase from, if you're watching this and you want a copy, I'm going to discount the hardcover so that it's $25. Okay, and I'm going to discount the paperback so that it's $22, $25 and $22. You could use any of those forms there on the ticker, but make sure you send me your mailing information as well, so I'll know where to send it. Shout out to Brent C. He ordered one a couple of weeks ago. He should have it by now. So if you want one, do what Brent C. did. Okay. The Black astronauts, Starlink, and recapturing rockets. Before I get into that, a quick science thought of the day. Science and Mr. Musk is an example of this. They've blown up many rockets trying to further the SpaceX projects. A major part of science is trial and error. And so I told you guys that I had a DIY project planned this morning, a do-it-yourself. So the lamp, the ceiling fan in my bedroom, I pulled the string out of the actual lamp a couple of months ago, and I never got it fixed. So I haven't been able to use that light in my bedroom. So I finally figured out how to do it. And you have to buy these switches, and you have to splice this is a little bit of electrical engineering here, but you have to splice in the new switch into the wiring, and then you have to install it. But I looked at this and I realized this morning that the light that I have, it only has 2 cords, and this has ports for 4. And then I realized this is for the actual fan, not the light. So I have to get the proper part so I can replace the light switch for the light. So trial and error. Science, a major part of science is trial and error, trying things, making mistakes, and then realizing how to do it correctly, and or ordering the proper part that you need to complete the project. So trial and error, those are major parts of science. So I already ordered it from Amazon, and I'm probably going to go to Home Depot to see if they have the part that I need so I can do it tomorrow. Because I'm going to be discreet about this. I am a Fed, so we were for the last 4 to 5 years, we were working mostly remotely. And with the new administration said, nope, everybody back to the office. So I normally would have been able to work on this during the day, but now I'm going back to a traditional in the office work life, which is going to be a bit of an adjustment, but it will be it's something I can do. And since I'm mentioning President Trump and Mr. Musk in this stream, I want to be honest. I'm going to be discreet, but while we're talking about Mr. Musk's science and technology feats, a lot of people are feeling it right now. A lot of people are struggling. A lot of government workers are afraid. A lot of people have been let go. I won't get into justifiably so or not, but me and AB, we were just talking about Facebook. Someone posted something, a colleague posted something on Facebook, and I think the people who did not make their probationary periods, they got axed. So it's an interesting time. Anybody can go, anybody can be released, anybody can be removed in this current period. So as I'm talking about this, I'm also being mindful of that. Okay, now that all of that is out of the way, let's start with some black astronauts, or the black astronauts. Okay, I'm going to sprint through this, and yeah, hopefully I won't belabor it. But you guys let me know what you think there in the chat. If anyone wants to make a donation to the channel, my Cash App and PayPal, they're there. I mean, they're moving across the screen there. Oh, by the way, Alicia, I don't think Alicia is here, but shout out to Alicia. Alicia did send me a Cash App donation at the end of last week's stream, and I didn't see it until I clicked end stream. But Alicia, if you're there, if you see this, thank you. I did receive it. That's much appreciated. So with that, let's do a little bit of Black history here. And let's remember our Black astronauts. I mean, they're not talked about enough, in my opinion. We talk a lot about civil rights leaders when it comes to Black history, politicians, athletes and entertainers, clergymen and women, slaves, the whole litany of things that we talk about, but we rarely talk about our scientists and our astronauts. And so I think I'm going to show you there are about 14 or 15 of them, but there's a younger batch right now that aren't on this list. Okay, and I didn't have time to go research them. I think they're captured in a stream from a couple of years ago. But the Black astronauts, let's take a quick look at them. And you guys let me know what you think there in the chat. If you think anything, if not, you could just watch and partake and watch me talk and listen to me talk. Okay. So the Black astronauts, I'm just going to read these people off by name. I did highlight them a couple of years ago. That is in my catalog from about a year or so ago. Okay. So there is Charles F. Bolden Jr., Yvonne Darlene Cagle. Okay. Michael P. Anderson, Lieutenant Colonel Michael P. Anderson. Okay. So I think a lot of these people are still alive. Okay. Lieutenant Colonel Michael P. Anderson is not. Okay. Lieutenant Colonel Michael P. Anderson died in the Space Shuttle Columbia STS-107 accident in the early 2000s. That was under the second Bush administration. Just briefly, what happened with that accident, I don't see, oh, here's my space shuttle. The Space Shuttle STS-107, when it launched, okay, they noticed that it looked like something came off the underbelly of the shuttle. So there's foam on the bottom. There was foam on the bottom of these shuttles to help with its re-entry back into the Earth. So Mission Control saw what they thought was a piece of the foam come off when the shuttle was going up into outer space. They weren't sure, and there are documentaries on this, and they're very riveting, and they're very they're very riveting. They're very gripping to think that, yeah, you could be on a mission like that, and then your spacecraft could disintegrate coming back into the Earth. So long story short, that piece of foam came off, and when a space shuttle re-enters the atmosphere, it generates a lot of heat, okay, because there are air particles, there are gases that make up our atmosphere, and because that piece of foam came off, the shuttle didn't have its heat shield, and the shuttle basically disintegrated over Texas. I think it was supposed to land in Florida, and they show on the documentary that all communication with the shuttle, all the sensors, all the communication stopped right as it was passing over Texas. And they also showed video footage of it, and you could see what looked like a comet coming in and then it just kind of breaking off into multiple parts. Okay. So imagine you're on a space shuttle and you're re-entering the atmosphere and your space shuttle disintegrates. Okay. And then you and all of your colleagues die upon re-entry. Okay. And they said in the documentary that all along the flight path, gradually debris was falling to the earth. Okay, like this, landing in random spots, hitting people's homes, hitting people's roofs. Okay, and eventually the bodies of the astronauts eventually landed, crash landed, all across the flight path of the shuttle. So I'm saying that to say that's when I see Lieutenant Colonel Michael P. Anderson, I think about that. Okay. And if you weren't into aerospace and astronomy at that time, you never would have known the difference. Okay. I was in graduate school. The only reason I know about this is because I volunteered at the David M. Brown Arlington Planetarium for a number of years. And David Brown was another astronaut on that space shuttle. Okay, let me move on. All right. So Michael Anderson, Robert L. Kerbing Jr., Guion S. Bluford Jr., Benjamin Alvin Drew, okay, Jeanette J. Epps, Ronald E. McNair. Okay, does anybody know out there who Ronald E. McNair is? Okay, I hate to keep bringing up space shuttle accidents, but Ronald E. McNair, Dr. Ronald E. McNair, I think he's a Grambling alumnus. He died in the Challenger accident. Okay, so that's when I was in grade school. Okay, the Columbia was when I was in graduate school. The Challenger was when I was in grade school. So for the Challenger, and if my best friend told me we were watching this on TV in school when it happened. The Challenger, okay, for these space shuttles to go up into outer space, they have a large fuel tank, okay, and they have 2 booster rockets. Okay, so for the Challenger, it had been winter-like conditions, and the O-ring on one of the booster rockets cracked. Okay, so when that booster rocket, when they ignited, fuel leaked out of that O-ring. Okay, and that booster rocket, it exploded as they were going up into outer space. That caused a whole chain reaction that destroyed the shuttle with the astronauts on it. So Ronald E. McNair, he was one of those astronauts, one of the astronauts on that shuttle. And the McNair program, which I was in, that's how I in part became Dr. Dunbar. It was named after him, Ronald E. McNair. And going back to trial and error, SpaceX has had many shuttles and spacecraft explode and get destroyed during their testing. Well, unfortunately, the United States space program, they've had to learn things as they've went along. Sometimes it's unfortunately there's been loss of life in terms of them figuring out how to safely run their missions. And part of the problem was that these shuttles, the equipment was just getting old. It was getting overused and it was getting old. And so they were learning as they went how to best take care of this equipment for future missions. But unfortunately, life was lost along the way. Michael says, I had the biggest crush on Mae Jemison as a kid. I wanted to be an astronaut as a kid. Mae Jemison, huh? I think this Jeanette Epps, she's a looker herself. Let's go back. Yeah, Jeanette Epps, she's a looker. There was another one. Yvonne Darlene Cagle, I think she's attractive. Okay, so Jeanette J. Epps, Ronald E. McNair, Frederick D. Gregory, Leland D. Melvin, Bernard A. Harris Jr., Bobby Satcher, Joan E. Higginbotham, she's a looker as well, Winston E. Scott, Macy Jemison, there you go, Michael, and then there is Stephanie D. Wilson. Now, the interesting thing, this link is below in the description box. Again, there are some younger ones who are in aerospace right now. I didn't have time to track all of their names down. Many of these people have physics degrees. Okay, many of them are got their training in the military. I believe Mae Jemison, I believe she's a medical doctor. So many of these people took multiple paths to become astronauts, but many of them have physics, science, engineering, and military backgrounds. So if any of you out there want to be astronauts, there are multiple ways that you can become astronauts if you want to do it. So I just wanted to acknowledge our Black astronauts. There are several, and I don't think they get enough celebration or enough press. Okay. So that's the Black astronauts. So what about retrieving rockets and Starlink, and where did all this come from? Well, it came from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. So let's take a quick look at this discussion with Mr. Musk and number 47. Okay, this is from Fox. This involves Sean Hannity. A lot of people don't like Fox or Sean Hannity. It's just the clip that I chose. Okay, and this whole thing was to give the citizenry a realistic or a more objective look at the president and Mr. Musk, as opposed to what's happening in some of the other news outlets. Mr. Musk, he does take his criticism. I'm thinking about a content creator named Professor Black Truth, who calls him phony Stark, because Elon Musk is supposed to be, well, he's not supposed to be, but he's like the Tony Stark of our world. So he invents things, he invents gadgets. So Professor Black Truth calls him phony Stark. And also a lot of people get on Elon because they say, okay, well, the only reason he's been able to build this technological empire is because he's been able to take advantage of government dollars. Okay, he has not, a lot of people say that he has not built all this stuff himself, but instead he's gotten the financing from the government. So AB Media says, I am not a big fan of Sean Hannity, but sometimes he's correct. Okay. Thank you, AB Media. Thank you for letting me know you're still here. Okay. So this first snippet is Elon. Okay. Saying who and what he is. Fair use. I think this is okay. Everybody's been playing this and sharing this. Fair use.
And trying to make the country hate you. I just want people to understand you a little bit better, and the person that you've gotten to know and have now put a lot of trust in.
Yeah.
And, just let's go over a little bit of your bio, starting with PayPal and how you became involved in Tesla and SpaceX and Neuralink and all these.
I mean, I think the way to think of me is like I'm a technologist, and I try to make technologies that improve the world and make life better.
Your shirt.
Yeah, and that's why I like my T-shirt says tech support, because I'm here to provide the president with technology support.
Okay, I'm a technologist. Let's listen to that one more time. I like that.
Just let's go over a little bit of your bio, starting with PayPal and how you became involved in Tesla and SpaceX and Neuralink and all these.
I mean, I think the way to think of me is like I'm a technologist, and I try to make technologies that improve the world and make life
Show
better.
your shirt.
Yeah, and that's why like my T-shirt says tech support, because I'm here to provide the president with technology support. And now that may seem like, well, is that a silly thing? But actually, it's a very important thing, because the president will make these executive orders, which are very sensible and good for the country, but then they don't get implemented. So if you take for example, all the funding for the migrant hotels, the president issued an executive order where, hey, we need to stop taking taxpayer money and paying for luxury hotels for illegal immigrants.
Okay, so guys, when he said I'm a technologist, I'm going to tell a joke here. That reminded me of H.E. Pennypacker. Does anybody know who H.E. Pennypacker is? I'll wait a few seconds. H.E. Pennypacker. Does anybody know who that is? Okay. I didn't think you guys would, but you'll laugh when you see this. Please smash that like button if you haven't. Okay. This is H.E. Pennypacker. And I thought of this when Elon Musk said, I'm a technologist. H.E. Pennypacker. Fair use.
Yes, I'm interested in the apartment.
Yes, come in, come in. I'm Christine Nyhart.
Ooh, delicious to meet you.
Did the broker send you over?
Yes, most likely. Yes, I'm H.E. Pennypacker. I'm a wealthy industrialist and
I'm H.E. Pennypacker. I'm a wealthy industrialist.
philanthropist and a bicyclist. And, yes, I'm looking for a place where I can settle down with my peculiar habits and the women that I frequent with. Mombasa.
The asking price is $1.5 million.
Oh, I spend that much on aftershave. Yes, I buy and sell men like myself every day. Now, I assume that there's a waterfall grotto?
No,
How about a bathroom?
it has 4.
Yes, and where would the absolute nearest one be?
Just down the hall.
All right. So that's H.E. Pennypacker. So for those of you who watched Jerry Seinfeld, you know that it was a comedy, but Michael Richards, and he did get in some hot water for some of his comments. But his character Kramer was very, very eccentric, and sometimes he would take on aliases. And one of his aliases was H.E. Pennypacker, a wealthy industrialist. And I remember watching the show and saying, "What's an industrialist?" Well, an industrialist is a technologist, like Elon Musk. So it's someone who's a captain of industry, and it's someone who's making things. Realistically, he was just clowning around, making things and creating things. That's an industrialist or a technologist. So that's what I thought about when Elon said that. Alicia, thank you for being here. Thank you again for that donation last week. I shouted you out a little bit earlier. You sent it after I finished the stream last week, so you missed I was unable to shout you out. Andre's here. Andre, folks were asking about you over where you normally hang out. Folks were asking about you. Michael thought that was funny. H.E. Pennypacker. Andre says, yeah, Kramer crashed out. Okay, so let's get back to Trump and Elon, because there's a point here where Trump is just going to go on and on and on about how smart Elon is and the things that Elon has invented. Other people don't have the technologies. So yeah, he really pumped up his boy. Okay, so let's jump to that. Please smash that like button. See, I play Kramer and everybody's coming in now. Let's see. Okay, so let's go back. I am a wealthy industrialist. So let's skip to, and I'm not going to be on much longer. So again, in showing this, everybody, I'm not celebrating the hardships that people are going through right now, because a lot of people are struggling right now, particularly you can make the argument that many Americans have been struggling over the last 4 years, but a lot of federal employees and now former federal employees are struggling right now. So in doing this, I'm not celebrating that. Okay, fair use. You guys, let me know what you think there in the chat.
The relationship and know more about you. What is the relationship, Mr. President?
Well, I respect him. I've always respected him. I never knew that he was right on certain things, and I'm usually pretty good at this stuff. He did Starlink. He did things that were so advanced and nobody knew what the hell they were. I can tell you in North Carolina, they had no communication. They were wiped out. Those people were, they had rivers in between. Land that never saw water, all of a sudden, it was a river and a vicious, like rapids.
I'm going to be honest that before the North Carolina hurricane, I heard Starlink, but I didn't really know what Starlink was. So that kind of forced me to start thinking about Starlink and what it was and the significance of it. Please smash that like button if you haven't.
People were dying all over. They had no communication. They said, "Do you know Elon Musk?" They didn't really know I knew him. I said, "Yeah." He said, "Could you get Starlink?" It's like the first time I ever heard of it. I said, "What's Starlink?" A communication system. That's unbelievable.
I have it.
Yeah. And he said, I called him and I said, "Listen, they really need it." And he got like thousands of units of this communication. And it saved a lot of lives. He got it immediately, and you can't get it. I mean, you have to wait a long time to get it. But he got it to him immediately, and I said, "That's pretty amazing." And I didn't even know he had it. We watched the rocket ships, and we watched Tesla. I think, something that had an effect on me was when I saw the rocket ship come back and get grabbed, like you grab a beautiful little baby. You grab your baby. It just
hug the rocket.
I've never seen.
Right, everyone needs a hug and clean rockets.
No.
Now, if you recall, number 47 got in trouble during his first election for talking about grabbing. And it's funny when he says it there, it sounds just like that recording of when he was talking about grabbing before. Not to dig up old dirt, but it just, when he says it, he says it in a certain way. I'm going to play a few more minutes of this.
And he said, you can't really have a rocket program if you're going to dump $1 billion into the ocean every time you fly. You have to save it.
Right.
And he saved it. First time that I've ever seen that done. Now, nobody else can do it. If you look at the U.S., Russia, or China, they can't do it. And they won't be able to do it for a long time. He has the technology. So you learn. I wanted somebody really smart to work with me in terms of the country, a very important aspect. Because he doesn't talk about it. He's actually a very good businessman. And when he talks about the executive orders, and this is probably true for all presidents, you write an executive order and you think it's done. You send it out. It doesn't get done. It doesn't get implemented. They don't implement it. Maybe they're from the last administration and they.
Okay, I'm going to stop that there. Okay. But I think, okay, again, acknowledging that a lot of people are afraid right now and alarmed right now, but I also think a lot of people don't know and understand Mr. Musk's background or the significance of Starlink or the significance of SpaceX. Yeah, for some people that's completely out of their galaxy. So when you understand those things, you do kind of have an automatic respect for him for what he's been able to build. So and apparently recapturing these rockets, grabbing these rockets, apparently no other country can do that right now. And if you're going to have a space program, yeah, I could see where it would be costly to just discard the rocket after the mission. So being able to reuse the rocket, that's going to save a lot of money, and it's going to enable a lot of other things. Let's take a quick look at Starlink, and then we'll take a look at a rocket, one of their rockets being grabbed and recaptured, and then I'm going to wrap the stream up. So Starlink, what is Starlink? All of these links are below in the description box. And this is not saying you should go out and get a Starlink membership or a Starlink subscription. I just these things are being thrown around and people don't know what this is. So Starlink, so high speed internet around the world. Okay, so apparently with this, maybe you could go off grid, go off into the mountains somewhere, leave highly civilized society, and you could still have internet connection. Okay. Connect at home or on the go. Okay, so there's a little dish sitting right there on the top of that roof. Okay. Connectivity where you least expect it. Streaming video calls, online gaming, remote working, and more are now possible in even the most remote locations thanks to the world's most advanced internet system. So I think that's one of their little dishes right there, one of their receivers right there. Starlink Mini. Starlink Mini is a compact, portable kit that can easily fit in a backpack, designed to provide high-speed, low-latency internet on the go. It includes a built-in Wi-Fi router, low power consumption, DC power input, and max download speeds over 100 mega. AB, do you know what MBPs are? I don't know what those units mean. MBPs, megabytes per second? Is that megabytes per second? Okay, get online in minutes. Okay, you could set up a membership really quickly. Or no, once you get this device, plug it in, point at the sky. Okay. Starlink requires an unobstructed view of the sky. Download the Starlink app to determine your best install location. No contracts. Long-term contracts prevent both you and Starlink making sensible changes when necessary. With Starlink, it is a fair deal both ways. Starlink can adjust terms and pricing as needed, as you can cancel at any time for any reason. And then we're at the end here. Here you go. It's all interconnected. Engineered by SpaceX as the world's leading provider of launch services and the only provider with an orbital class reusable rocket. SpaceX has deep experience with both spacecraft and on-orbit operations. So that they have satellites above the Earth, I think, that are facilitating this operation. Okay. So that's Starlink. Now let's take a quick look. Trump was going on and on and on about how he can grab the rockets and he can retrieve the rockets. Let's take a quick look at that so we know what all the hoopla is over. Aquateki, thank you for being here. He says, salute Dr. Dunbar and chat. He says, salute AB Media. A lot of saluting going on. All right. So let's take a look at this rocket recapture thing. All right, fair use, everyone. This is from the Associated Press. Fair use. It's fascinating. I mean, meanwhile, they're building these things. Some people are preparing to leave the Earth. The rest of society's arguing about gender relations, reproductive rights, Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl performance. Okay. Meanwhile, there will be people who have gone to Mars or who are building these things. It's just fascinating. So, okay, fair use. That's probably in Florida.
3, 2, 1. We have liftoff. Vehicles pitching downrange.
Raptor engines. Is one of the most gorgeous things I've ever seen in my entire life. Coming up on hot stage separation confirmed.
Booster coming in. See how fast this vehicle is moving on the left hand. Landing burn. 13 ignite.
Booster landing burn shutdown.
Nicodilla has popped the booster.
At the launch tower.
What an incredible view! Wow.
I don't know about you, but we're losing our stuff up here.
3, 2, 1.
We're gonna watch that one more time. I'm sorry, Aquateki says, I'm not impressed by the technology and engineering that keeps the rocket near perpendicular to the ground than the actual grabbing of the rocket itself. Okay, I misread your comment. You said, I'm more impressed by the technology and engineering that keeps the rocket near perpendicular to the ground than the actual grabbing of the rocket itself. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it seems like grabbing the rocket, that's just, you know, you've grabbed the rocket, you've secured it, but keeping the thing level and balanced and coming back towards your ground station. I agree. That seems to be the more impressive feat, because what if the rocket goes flying off in this direction or that direction, or it just loses control somehow? So I agree with that, Aquateki. Okay, let's watch that one more time, and then I will wrap this stream up. Okay, that's worth a second look. And did you see how excited the people in the tower were? They were like, yeah! All right. It's probably taking hours and hours of calculations and simulations and planning to do this. So I'm sure to see it come to fruition and actually work, I'm sure a lot of those people, those engineers, are very, very happy. All right, one more time. Fair use.
Three, two, one. We have liftoff. Vehicles pitching downrange.
Raptor engines. Is one of the most gorgeous things I've ever seen in my entire life. Coming up on hot stage separation confirmed.
Booster coming in. See how fast this vehicle is moving on the left hand.
Landing burn. 13 engines.
Booster having burn shutdown.
Nicodilla has popped the booster.
At the launch tower.
What an incredible view! Wow.
I don't know about you, but we're losing our stuff.
All right. I just noticed something else, guys and gals, whoever's still out there. I noticed that the way that rocket was constituted, so I'll just call it the payload. The payload was at the top, and the booster is at the bottom. So when it went up into when it launched, the payload separated, went into orbit, and then the booster came back. So it looks like they're recycling the booster rockets. Okay, that's AB. That's very, very impressive that they're able to do that. Makes you wonder. It's funny. It makes you wonder. I'm not being a conspiracy theorist here, but I mean, certainly. Okay, let me be discreet here. In this era of questioning where dollars are going, how much does something like that cost? And I've wondered for a while, all of our space exploration with the needs we've had in society, people starving, homelessness, education. But we're also spending billions of dollars on space exploration, and that's cool. That's important. But you wonder sometimes about in this era of questioning where dollars are going. That's something I've always wondered, not just right now, but that's something I've wondered. Okay, Alicia. Okay, so Aquatechy says science fiction became science reality at that moment. Yeah. And then Alicia says this reduces the amount of space junk in orbit as well, right? Yeah, I imagine. I honestly don't know where all of that stuff goes. So for the older vehicles, yeah, I imagine some of that stuff stayed up in orbit. Those rockets, those accessories, those stayed up in orbit. The booster rockets for the space shuttle program, those, I think those might have stayed up in orbit as well, because once the shuttle gets high up enough, they separate. So I don't know if those fall away into the ocean or if those just stay up in orbit somewhere. That's a good question. I'll have to look into that. But yes, Alicia, I imagine if you're able to recycle the rocket and reuse the rocket, it's not creating waste somewhere because you're reusing it. Okay. All right, everyone. I think I'm going to wrap this one up. I'm just about at an hour. And I think this will be the final. I did do some Black history on the front end of this, acknowledging the Black astronauts. That link is below in the description box. Aquatechy says the shuttle's boosters fell back to the ocean for later retrieval. Okay, there you go. So they were able to salvage those and probably reuse them. Okay, I imagine they probably reused them. AB Media, thank you for that, for saying that. It's science content, so by virtue of that, it's gonna resonate with certain folks, and for the other folks who don't know that this type of thing is going on, they probably pass it by. So I appreciate you saying that only folks on a certain wavelength will stop and take a look at this and even hang on for the entire stream. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. So thank you to everyone who watched and commented, and T Riddler's here. Not that I'm not happy to see you, T Riddler, but it's funny when you pop up like that, and usually you're coming for my Buffalo Bills, or you're coming for my Michigan Wolverines, and you like to bring that. Well, you know what you do. T Riddler, actually, I think LA Fitness is for lunch. I'm going back over to LA Fitness to get some exercise, and yeah, I'm gonna have some cereal before I go, and yeah, just I'm gonna try to be healthy today. And that's one of the, I mentioned earlier, I am a Fed, and my activities haven't been cut up to this point, but we are going back to the office full time this week. So that's a lifestyle change. So I'm in the process of thinking about what I'm going to eat. I'm in the process of thinking about how much exercise I'm going to get. I'm in the, it's a lifestyle change. So I'm gonna have to reconfigure some aspects of my life. Now, the other thing, I have a follow-up. I told you guys here, I shared with you that I had my colonoscopy, and Aquatechy. Okay, let me not just jump around. I shared that I had my colonoscopy in October. I have a follow-up, but the doctor wants to look at one other thing this week, so I'll share that with you guys probably next week, because Black History Month will be over on Friday. So I'm going to get back to some health-related topics. But yeah, T Riddler says, glad to hear your job is secure. Well, T Riddler, security is relative. I mean, any of us can get cut at any time. I think since I've been a Fed, I've been through 2 government shutdowns. There's a thing called a RIF, which is a reduction in force. So the thought process was that government jobs are highly stable, but that's all relative. That's all relative. Yeah, and Aquatech, yeah, praying you don't get cut. You know what? I was talking to my mother about this. I'm starting, as I'm entering the second half of my life. Well, I may already be in the second half. The older you get, you start realizing that sometimes things happen for a reason. So sometimes relationships get blown up, sometimes jobs get cut, sometimes there are natural disasters that move you somewhere else. So I shouldn't say this on air, but you as a professional, you're always thinking about what you should be doing. Are you in the right place? I mean, certainly I would like to write books for the rest of my life, but I'm also a pretty good teacher as well. So that's something I've been being discreet. That's something I've been kicking around in my mind as well. So if my services are no longer needed, I'll figure something out. I'm pretty, knock on wood, I've been pretty conservative with my finances, and so I think I'll just figure out something else. All right. Thank you all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to donate something to the channel, my Cash App and PayPal are in the description box. The link to my newsletter and book are there as well. As I described at the beginning, you can get my book on Amazon in the ebook, hardcover and paperback editions, but I am selling signed copies. And for my YouTube subs, I'm selling those at a discount price. If you're watching this, I'll sell the paperback for $25. That's $10 off the Amazon price, and the paperback $22. That's $5 off of the Amazon price. Did I say that right? $10 off for the hardcover, $5 off for the paperback, and the shipping and handling is built into that price. Aquateki says, leaving on your own terms, that's right, is usually better than being forced out. That's right. That is right as well. That's right. And sometimes you have to, going non-scientific. I see some more people are coming in as I'm wrapping up. Please smash that like button. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you are not. And sometimes you have to be still and listen to what the universe, to what God, depending upon what you believe, sometimes you have to be quiet and listen to what the universe is telling you to do. So I think there are a mixture of things that are going through my mind at this time. All right, everyone. I think that's it. As I told the T Riddlers, LA Fitness is for lunch. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you to everyone who watched and who always watches and hangs out in the chat. As always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Always try to do your best. Take care, and I will talk to you the next time. T Riddler, man, you're slipping in these questions as I'm trying to wrap up, but I'll entertain this one. Do you enjoy living in the DMV? Okay. T Riddler, to answer that, I will say this is a fun place to live. Okay. There are always things to do here. We have 3 airports, multiple train stations, a metro, 2 casinos, museums, a lot of nice upscale restaurants. There are a lot of educated people here, but a big thing wherever you live, if you're close to your family, it matters if you have family around. I'll say that. It matters if you have family around. And right now, I don't have family here. So, yeah, that matters for emotional support, for just your overall well-being. And that, I mean, you see that on your day-to-day and your week-to-week, but also you have to be careful about getting into relationships, romantic relationships, because if it's unbalanced or if it's chaotic, you don't have support there to help you weather that storm. When you have family around and you have a medical procedure where you need some assistance getting there and getting back, if you don't have a +1, well, your family is there so they can help you. Okay, so there's value to having family around, especially if you don't have a really tight friend circle where you live. Okay, so that's how I would answer that. It's a fun place to live. It's a nice place to live. It's complex. Your circle matters here. It's not necessarily the easiest place to make friends. Okay. But it's a nice place to live. So it's what you want. It's what's important to you. It's what matters most to you. Those are all things that you have to weigh in terms of deciding where to plant your roots. All right, I already gave my salutation. So with that, everybody, I will talk to you the next time. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.